Okay, I'm with David Fraser from the Bunkie Life.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah, do you want to just come in a bit closer? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. So David, I think it's been 2 years since we last chatted.
Yeah.
And you were the first small business that was owner that I've met that was super into Bitcoin aside from Ali from Tahini's.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was super interesting for me, man, to get your insights on that. And there's a lot to talk about there with Bitcoin and business.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, I brought something just because I was going to say, 13, I think it was like 19,147 is the number that I want to throw out there, right? 2 years ago.
That's when we were chatting.
Yeah. Let me just double check that though. And I have a legal disclaimer I got to read. We've grown as a company and we have, just considerations like that. So, okay, the date was October 13th, 2022 was our last time we put the episode out that we chatted. $19,147 US was the Bitcoin price.
Wow. Yeah. Cheers to that.
Here's my disclaimer. This is for educational purposes only, not financial advice. Before making any financial investment decisions, consult a professional. But then ask them why they've been sleeping on the world's best performing financial asset in history. Fire them, sell a kidney, and buy Bitcoin. Buying any crypto other than actual Bitcoin is a highly regarded endeavor which will shrink your prefrontal cortex, soften your muscle tissue, and make your dancing even more awkward. Never take crypto advice from your wife's boyfriend. Note, David doesn't own any Bitcoin personally. He speaks of it more in a metaphorical sense.
Yes.
And any Bitcoin owned or not owned by David is absolutely stored in a multi-signature vault, which he couldn't give you access to even if he wanted to. Nice try, Mafia, CRA, and IRS. Murdering David in front of his wife and kids might make you feel like a big man, but won't get you access to anything more than $20 cash, a collection of Paw Patrol DVDs, and some expired prophylactics. You should be aware that David houses several highly trained and slightly underfed attack lions. Also, David's dad, who lives next door to him, is a registered firearms owner and could totally beat up your dad.
Done.
My disclaimer.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
End of the podcast.
There we go.
That was my favorite podcast intro ever.
Okay, cool.
Holy smokes. It was one, that was amazing. Great disclaimer there.
Yeah.
Two, it was actually 19,000 when we last talked.
Yeah, I think it was.
So that was 2022. So the price had come down.
I mean, it's a bit of a blur.
Yeah. So the price was coming down back then.
Must have been. Yeah.
But you've been in it since like 2019.
Nice try, CRA as well, but
never mind.
No, I mean, so Bunkie Life has been investing in like that's why we store our profit basically.
Yeah, if you had some.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, fair enough. From Dragon's Den to Bitcoiner to 5 children.
Yeah,
one on the way. 4 children.
4 plus 1.
Yes, yeah. 4 plus 1. You've been up to a lot, man. I don't know how you're juggling it all. You seem in good spirits. You don't have bags under your eyes. You seem in good health.
So lately, all the kids are sleeping with Carrie, and I'm sleeping in my own little private room that's like really cold.
Okay,
I get good sleep, but Carrie doesn't. So we have a great team at Bunkie Life. So I think when we last chatted, we were just opened a factory
in Rockwood.
Yeah,
which is like Erin.
Yeah, basically just about an hour outside of Toronto.
Yeah,
and so we were shipping mostly Ontario across Canada. So since we last spoke, we really opened up in the US. So I think we'll ship to something like 39 US states this year.
Wow.
So that's been growing really well.
Congrats, man.
And now I'm starting to look over the horizon, and it looks like the factory is going to be actually close to full capacity this year.
Wow.
So we're starting to think, what's the next step? And eyeing up the US right now. So,
yeah. So I guess we should quickly, for anybody that doesn't know, describe what Bunkie Life is. So what do you guys do and what do you make?
Okay, sure. So what we do is we make small log cabin kits that anyone can build, essentially. So they're smaller. They're generally used for, a bolt-on bedroom in the backyard, maybe like an office. The most common use case we have for our product is I've got a cottage, or I live in the country or something. I've got a rural property and I want to have everybody over, but I've only got 2 bedrooms and I've got, 14 grandkids or whatever the move is, right? So we solve that problem, and we've developed a little kit that you can snap together like Lincoln Logs and build it with your friend. You can also build it with your friends and family, which is really fun. And you can build it in 1 or 2 days, and then you've got this beautiful little structure made out of wood that you can enjoy for years to come. Yeah.
And so you've stuck with that just as your I know you have a bunch of different types of bunkies, but that's it. Still doing just bunkies, right? Like that is
we
the
are
focus.
Just like boom, bunkies. I mean, it's right in the name, Bunkie Life.
Yeah, you guys are the bunkie guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did So we've had little forays into things like saunas and hot tubs and things, but we found like, because we weren't actually manufacturing them ourselves, we couldn't guarantee it was going to be awesome. So we're just like doubling down on just making bunkies as awesome as we can. I mean, and it's easy to build as they can be.
Yeah. And going deep, but then releasing, I guess, different models to mix it up, give people more options.
Yeah, we probably put out, 4 or 5 SKUs, since we talked, I think, about that. Yeah.
Okay. So do you find the rural properties are the main driver? Like, are you seeing it in urban properties at all?
Yeah, I would say like urban-ish. Like, you can't really put it in a small place in the middle of Toronto, but some people in Toronto do. If you have a little bigger lot or the suburbs, like we've delivered.
Do you need a permit to put these in?
Generally speaking, no. Although, of course, consult your local mafia just to be sure. But generally speaking, no. There's been mostly, I'd say, across North America, we've kind of niched down where it's just small enough you don't need a permit in most places, or at least there'll be a model that we offer that you won't need a permit for.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, because it would be like putting in like a backyard shed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And now these things, they don't come with kitchens. Like, these are bunkies. These are bunk beds.
We're selling you the canvas. You can add the painting to the canvas. A lot of people add electricity. So if you add plumbing in a lot of areas, you've strayed into permit required land.
Got it.
If you avoid the plumbing, or if you have like a self-contained sink, or like a composting toilet, you can kind of work around that. But generally speaking, it's a structure. It's good to go. Generally speaking, people are using it 3 to 3.5 seasons a year. You can insulate them and get them up to 4 in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
And solar panels, things like that, can be like off-grid kind of setups as well.
Do you think these will pick up in suburban areas? So not urban, but suburban, suburbs. You got a backyard, you've got some grass space, you want an extra space for a little home office, for a studio. Podcast studio, exactly. Stuff like that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're definitely selling to suburbia for sure.
Okay, cool. So one of our Rockstar VIP members, actually, he's now on the team. He got his real estate license. He recently joined the team. He runs his podcast out of a garden suite that he built.
Oh, cool.
But this is like a fully equipped garden suite in Hamilton, fully licensed, permits, all of it, right? But with the kitchen and everything, and fully working bathroom, which is awesome. But you could almost just get one of these bunkies and do the same thing, and then he could just rent that out. Now I don't know his other plans, and I think he treats it as an all-day thing. He's in there as his office, but so it works for him. But this seems like a no-brainer, because how much do these things roughly go for?
So kind of average ticket price is around 11 grand.
Okay.
Yeah, like somewhere between, like on the low end, like 5. We're talking about US dollars, 5K to like, I don't know, 20.
Okay.
The average is around 11,000 roughly Canadian.
So average around 11, then maybe if you want to like put an air conditioner unit in there, put some electricity, it's like you're adding another bedroom to your house.
Yep.
More square footage for like 11 to 15 grand-ish. Yeah. If you count those extras.
Yep. Yeah. Especially if you're willing to put the work in and do the actual, assembly of it.
But to your point, it looks fun. And these things are really easy to assemble. Like, they come flat packed, like...
It's a big set of Lego, essentially, made out of wood.
Harder or easier than IKEA furniture?
Way easier.
Yeah,
because you don't have the little Guggenschlag of the guy scratching his head. Like, you've got an actual video for each model.
Yeah.
Usually it's my wife telling you how to build it. And then there's a good manual. And plus, you can call us. Like, we have 6 days a week, we have phone support. So anyone who's tried has succeeded.
Yeah. I mean, you see so many cottages with bunkies. It's like, why not suburban homes, especially as things get pricier. You're a young family. You want that extra bedroom space for a little home office or studio or what have you. You work from home.
Yeah.
But upgrading to a home with a 4th bedroom is very expensive.
Oh, dude, it could
$50,000 to $100,000 maybe more expensive. And you have this option if you got a little lot space.
Yep, for sure. And then, the hassle of, like, a lot of his time too, like, we'll get a lot of people like, oh, my daughter's wedding is next month, and we can solve that. We can get the extra whatever they need, next weekend. Yeah. So it's a timing thing, it's a convenience thing, and it's also, I mean, it has a great aesthetic too. Like, people like the aesthetic of it.
Yeah, they're really pretty looking.
Yeah. It's just that the only downside is it's not a fully functioning, like an ADU kind of thing, right? Just want to make sure people know that.
Yes.
If they know that and they're like, hey, I'm cool with, like, maybe in the middle of February, I'm not going to use my bunkie, or if I do, I'm going to have to crank the heat like crazy.
Crank the heat or insulate it. Yeah. Finish the inside, I guess, if you're going to insulate it. On the outside, does the outside need any painting or anything like that, or it's pretty?
I recommend staining it.
Stain. Okay. So then to maintain them, maybe like a yearly or
there's like some
every other year.
There's some good quality stuff out there that's like every 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool,
Not too
man.
bad.
So Bunkie Life, like you built this factory. It's pretty amazing entrepreneurial story. You were on Dragon's Den originally pitching this thing. Did you find that gave you a boost in notoriety or helped the business?
Yeah, absolutely. It was the whole experience was great.
Yeah.
We were fortunate enough that we've done these kind of big promotions. One of the producers of the show was a fan of ours. So she's like, you should really audition for this show. So we did. And that was in 2021. We appeared on the show in May of that year. And spoiler alert, we did okay. You got to watch the episode, but we did well. And then that was kind of what gave us the courage, like, hey, let's open up this factory. Let's do this. So the publicity front was great. And then actually last year they came and followed up with us. They did like where are they now?
Oh, no way. Oh, cool.
Just a short little segment
I love those little segments. Yeah.
It's good. They came to the factory. We kind of showed them what we were up to, and it was a great experience. So yeah, the whole CBC team at Dragon's Den has been super supportive of us throughout our entire existence, which has been awesome.
Okay. Did you guys get an investment?
Yeah. So on the show, you have to watch the show. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. And I feel bad asking because I did watch like a couple of years ago, but it's
I've
just,
seen a few since then.
it's just, left my memory.
Yeah. So all 5 of the Dragons made an offer on the show. And then,
oh, wow.
So it was great. We got we sold the Bunkie from the show to Arlene Dickinson.
Okay.
We went to her house that next day after we filmed and like installed her Bunkie basically for her.
Oh, that's so cool.
That was great. Yeah. She was wonderful.
She seems like great.
She is exactly like you see her on the show. She is that person.
Yeah. She
so
seems
is
like
Wes.
a nice
We
person.
mostly dealt with Wes Hall and Arlene Dickinson.
Okay.
They're both just genuinely good people.
Wes is the wild guy, right?
Wes is the black guy with like the cool suits.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought it was who's kind of that
Lord
wacky...
Guzzo?
Sorry?
Like Lord Guzzo, the guy that's the popcorn guy?
No, he's like, he was in the traditional finance world in Toronto. He's got the long surfer hair, the tattoos. He's a wacky guy, white guy.
Are you thinking the guy from...
This West guy isn't the same one.
No, Wes is a black guy.
Yeah.
From Jamaica. Really good story.
Okay. I think I know him too.
Yeah. He's good.
Okay, cool.
Overall though, I just want to say great experience. Like I would depending on you got to know your numbers and you got to like have a viable business.
Yeah.
But I would recommend.
Well, so what's your advice knowing what you know about Bitcoin and then also knowing what you know as an entrepreneur and an experienced entrepreneur by now who's experienced a lot of growth? Like how do you balance the two worlds? And if somebody's listening to this show and is a small business owner, or maybe he's just an aspiring one, they understand Bitcoin, they understand real estate. How do you balance all these things? Well,
I hesitate to say that I understand Bitcoin because it's such it's a multidisciplinary,
endless
very deep rabbit hole. Yes.
Yeah.
So here's just some thoughts, and hopefully this is helpful. Sometimes I'll look at some of our decisions and I go, okay, I bought this factory and I did this, and we were a profitable company the whole process. And then I think, man, I could have just bought Bitcoin the entire time and been probably farther ahead, right?
Yeah.
Despite the fact that on paper we've done well. But with that said, I mean, we actually had this conversation with a good friend of mine who's like in a different category of early Bitcoiner, and he's like, dude, like you got to do something with your life too.
Yes.
Right? For me, that's Bunkie Life. What it's been really great at is clarifying, like, oh, like this is what I'm on earth to do is Bunkie Life,
Yeah.
At least for the foreseeable future. And some of the crazy decisions we made along the way, like let's put our life savings into a factory. Like I don't think I would have done that without the security of having like a hard money that I could kind of like, I've got that, right? As an aside thing. So for me, it's actually, I know everyone thinks of Bitcoin as this crazy risky thing, but I think if you do truly understand it, you start to realize actually it's this most stable thing. Mm-hmm. And everything else is actually the crazy thing. Mm-hmm. So I can do crazy things like Bunkie Life and investing in a factory and hiring 30 people and just play full there because I know, like, at the end of the day, I have this other security that no one can take from me. So that would be one thought. Yeah. Right. But I do think that thinking you understand Bitcoin is probably, I think you want to be constantly learning because it's an evolving field. It's an evolving, political landscape around it, and you got to be kind of informed. But at the end of the day, like, just buy it, forget about it is probably the best advice you'll ever get. Yeah. And do you separate the two as well as like, this is your income, this is your savings? And do you kind of have that clear separation in your mind? Because you kind of mentioned the long-term investment. I can invest in my company or myself.
and I can grow that way. But at times I could have just bought Bitcoin, and maybe I would have financially at least been further ahead. Now, obviously it's your purpose, as you've stated, and which is really cool and important to find in life, I think. So there's that aspect of it, but it's also, I guess, in your income generated. This is your business. You don't have a job. This is your job. Is running Bunkie Life, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But I guess just like, how do you balance? I guess what I'm just caught up in is that same decision. Like, how do you balance the two? When do you invest in yourself, your business, versus when do you just buy Bitcoin?
Yeah.
If you've done your homework on Bitcoin to trust it in the way that you trust it.
That's a deep question, Anthony. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have a great answer to it. I think you got to basically take it on the case by case. But what I found helpful too is just have very like clear milestones of like, okay, we're gonna do this when this happens, and so you have your game plan ahead of time, because there's this emotional roller coaster. Every 4 years, right?
Smart.
So just having like, we're not going to sell any Bitcoin until blah 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 happens, or we need da. Or if things really go tanks, like if really we're going to save the business. I would hate to be in this position, but we will save the business by selling the Bitcoin if we need to.
Yeah,
the whole point of life, right?
Yeah.
If grandma needs a surgery, like
grandma needs surgery. Yeah, that's priority number one.
Yeah. So I've been really lucky that we've had just a lot of success in Bunkie Life, and I've always been profitable. Even the year we started the factory, which was chaos. And so I haven't had to do anything but just buy more. But I mean, if that happens, that's why you have savings.
Yeah. So did you start it always seeking that positive cash flow from the beginning? Like,
yeah. So, okay, well, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty old school on this. So
you have a business, the business should make money.
Yeah. Call me crazy.
Thinking around the
call
business.
Call me insane, bro. Like I went to so there's another company that got started around the same time as Bunkie Life did.
Okay.
I don't want to mention their name on the podcast because we might both get sued, but the model was, not exactly like Bunkie Life, but it was like, we're going to manufacture kind of the Henry Ford of small, tiny spaces, right? And so their whole model though was just not sell any of the actual product, but just sell shares in this company. And they still exist. They are still selling shares to the general public somehow without the SEC getting them like in jail, but they're doing this. They're at a $3 billion, I'm not kidding you, a $3 billion valuation of what they're selling shares for right now, right? They've never made money, Anthony. They've never made $1. They lose like millions of dollars every quarter. That's their model, right? So I look at that as the most extreme venture capital, like grow to the point where some idiot's going to buy our bags, right? Version of it. And then there's just the small business approach. We're just going to grow. We're going to grow ideally like at a steady rate every year. We're going to reinvest the money back into the business. We're going to, hire, like that's Bunkie.
And be profitable.
We're the exact opposite. Yeah. We never took any real big loans. We have a mortgage on the factory, but other than that, we never took on crazy loans. We just like invested our own money back into the business and grew the business that way. Yeah. It's like completely the exact opposite of that. Now that model, I went to their factory, right? And I know now I'm probably one of a small number of people that kind of know how a factory of that production level works, right? And I know like there's absolutely no way they'll ever be profitable. There's just mathematically they're never going to get there. And I think to myself, like how much time, investment, and human hours and mental energy went into this whole thing, because they give these tours at this factory, which may or may not be in Las Vegas. And like the guy giving me the tour, like honestly believed in this thing. And he was like, and I felt so bad because I was like, this is not going to end well.
So how did you know that it's not going to be profitable? You just saw the expenses versus the income.
We have 15,000 square feet. We put out about 4 to 6 bunkies a day. They have 300,000 square feet. They're putting out 1 or 2 a day, and they're not even selling, or maybe they are selling, but like, and there's just guys on their cell. They have like 10 times the amount of people working there. Everyone's on their cell phone, kind of waiting. It's like it's a disaster. Yeah. So because it's not run with the mindset of being actually profitable company, these decisions are being made that people aren't paying attention to because it doesn't matter because they just keep raising more money. The model is selling shares. That's the business model.
And eventually someone is left holding the bag on that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the person buying those shares because they own an unprofitable enterprise. It's like a zombie company.
Yeah.
that just needs more money to fuel it. Why are people still investing in it?
Dude, there's so many of those companies. That's not even an exception. Like there's so many companies that at one point were profitable, and now there's a husk of a reputation there, and now they're an unprofitable, $5 billion former company.
Yeah.
People are still buying and selling their shares, and
because they're publicly traded.
Yeah. You can do a lot. You can borrow a lot of money. You can sell debt at the publicly traded thing. So, yeah.
Man, I feel like this is all going to blow up.
I'm sorry this is such a black pill. I didn't mean to drop this on you.
No, this is fascinating to me, man. Fascinating. Like just for me to learn, like how you've grown a small business.
Yeah. I
mean, what should I focus on? Like
there's the easy road, which is, I think, go for that cash grab, right? Very easy to do that. I mean, the owners of this alleged company allegedly are taking millions of dollars of salary every year too out of the company.
Yeah.
That's unprofitable. That will never be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
So like, dude, like, I don't know how you fix that incentive, but like, to me, I'm going to continue to drive my 2010 Ford Flex. I'm going to continue to just like live lean and grow a company. And I don't know what's going to happen to it. I don't know how it's going to end up, but I just know I couldn't do the other thing. Yeah.
One company's using this like over financialized BS system of endless debt that can just be rolled over forever.
Yeah.
And unethical approach of paying yourself out all these millions in salary in this basically zombie company that doesn't make money, where your shareholders and investors are going to get left holding the bag.
Allegedly. I just want to be clear. Just another disclaimer now. This is all of our discussion is for educational purposes only.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Yeah. These guys are very litigious.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Huh. So the move into the States, that's just because, hey, we're doing well in Canada. Yeah. Are you guys fully across Canada?
Yeah, we sold to all the provinces and all the territories except for maybe Iqaluit or Nunavut.
Okay.
All the provinces. We sold to Alaska now too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool. So then you're like, okay, US is obviously the next place.
Yeah. Like I foresee this year our capacity at the factory is going to be close to used up.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Okay. And then that's the thinking around a factory in the US.
Yeah. Just, it'd be cool to say, hey, it's made in Canada for our Canadian clients. It's made in America for our American clients.
Oh yeah. That's a no-brainer. Especially I feel like with the political landscape, with how it's shifting a bit, with like people want that. Like it feels like America's back a little bit.
I don't know. We'll see.
It's this America first attitude, at least, is back, politically speaking. Landslide victory for the American first people. At least that's what they're saying they want. So people want made in America, and I would love made in Canada. Yeah. I mean, why not?
Made in Canada is also, it's another one of those fork in the road decisions too. Like, I mean, in retrospect, it's so effing hard to make things in Canada. There's a lot of
just with the regulations.
Yeah, like but we just have to budget in, and we have to. It's not just the money; it's also the mental burden. Like you have to budget in about once every 6 months. Some bureaucrat's going to come in, and you're going to write a check for about 10 to 15 grand. It's basically a bribe. Like not directly a bribe. I want to be clear, not directly a bribe, but for example, like somebody comes in from the environmental whatever agency and is like, okay, well you got to get this certification, blah blah blah. And we're like we have. Like in our factory, we just have wood. Wood comes in, it gets moved around, comes out as a kit. There's no chemicals really. It's one of the like kind of cleanest, operations that like comparatively to, let's say, our neighbor down the street that does like wood flooring that has like chemicals, right? So they come and they're like, you need this environmental thing. We're like, okay, like what? And it's 10 grand. Just all these things are 10 grand, and then we need to get another thing as part of this thing, because like you have to have a sound study. Like we're in an industrial park. There's no residential, and there's nothing residential around us at all. We can do a sound study. It's another $3 grand. It's just like that type of thing.
That you're not over like a certain decibel.
We're next to a trucking company, and like we are the quiet people.
Okay, hey, go talk to the trucking guys.
Yeah, And it's just arbitrary. Like I'm always curious. Like, why did you target us? I don't know. Maybe it's because I go on podcasts like this. And then more recently, it's like the fire marshal's in there, and he's like, you guys have the cleanest operation I've ever seen. Like we're pretty, like we're all about safety and like sweeping up things. We just don't want to have a wood fire. It'd be terrible. Yeah.
So you're getting like planed lumber, like planks of lumber, and you're just like cutting it to your specifications for the bunkie kits and custom cuts that you need.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. All the sawdust goes in this big vacuum, gets sold to horse farmers for bedding. So it's kind of like a lumber mill. Yeah.
Sort of.
Yep.
Except you're not processing, I guess, raw like trees.
No.
Yeah. It's already been processed.
Yep.
Interesting. Huh.
It's a really like low environmental impact thing.
Yeah. So when you're evaluating where you'd put a factory in the States, I guess, are you looking at that type of stuff like state regulation, where is going to be less of a mental burden and more free for us to operate our business?
Yeah. It's real estate values and workforce, and who's the leave me alone state the most likely to leave me alone?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a factor, you know. Ontario is probably not it, but it's all I know. So
okay.
Overall, I shouldn't complain because it hasn't been that bad.
Yeah.
But like our real estate pricing on industrial is like probably 3 times what it is in certain spots.
I didn't think about that. Yeah. I guess you'll suffer from that too, eh? You're living in Florida at least part of the year?
Yeah, we head down there usually for at least 3-4 months for sure.
Okay, during the winter months?
Yep.
Yeah. And you're still able to operate the business, even though it's like a physical factory that you have here with a bunch of employees?
My factory runs better when I'm not there.
Okay.
Yeah. My brother-in-law runs the factory. He's doing an amazing job. Got just a great crew of guys and girls there. It's honestly, I'm inspired to walk in there. It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So it's become like a family business for you. I mean, obviously your wife has always been involved with everything, but your brother-in-law as well.
Yep. And also my father-in-law kicks in there every once in a while.
Oh, cool.
To walk around. So
yeah. Just supervising.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Real estate investing isn't always easy, but it can be relatively simple. And that's where the Rockstar Inner Circle comes in. Look, there's a lot of real estate investing information out there these days. That's why it's so important to pick your sources wisely. And even though investing isn't always going to be the easiest process, it does not have to be super complicated. That's where tried, tested, and proven strategies like the ones that Rockstar members use come into play. Everything shared in the Inner Circle is built from firsthand on the streets experience in the current market. It's all up to date, things that people are actually implementing today. In fact, the ongoing courses are delivered live, so they're always up to date with the absolute latest real life experiences. As a Rockstar member, get ongoing access to over 20 different systems and programs covering things like which properties investors like and why, our private rental system, what opportunities the investors are scooping up in student housing currently, the legal side of investing, why or how to use corporations as an investor, a mortgage class with the absolute latest options and programs to build your portfolio as an investor because they're different than a regular home buyer. And there's a whole ton more in all those different classes. Of course, to implement all these strategies, members get access to unlimited private one-on-one coaching with an actual human experienced investor, not an AI chatbot, not ChatGPT or anything like that. It goes beyond training classes in real estate. It's a community for people looking to take control of their own finances, to give themselves options and allow them to live life on their terms. With ongoing live and virtual opportunities to connect, it's built for investors by investors. You can see everything members get at rockstarinnercircle.com/member. It's rockstarinnercircle.com/member. Now back to the show.
It's cool, man. You're living life on your terms. Did you foresee any of this when you started Bunkie Life, or just one step at a time? Like
it's just like whatever makes sense, and what's kind of the next step or two. We're getting better at forecasting and planning. We've got our 10-year vision, we've got our 3-year goal, and our 1-year vision. So we're getting better at predicting and forecasting. But
just come up a bit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're getting better at predicting and forecasting.
Yeah. Is that something that came with time and learning? Like, okay, we got to stop running around with our heads cut off. We got to like forecast a plan, as we all kind of go through. Or did that also come from a place of some security? Like, okay, we've built up a bit of a buffer. We can like think past 2 weeks, think past a month.
That's actually true.
Combination of both.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I had this moment in 2021. 2022. So we started the factory in 2022. And so the whole year was kind of like waiting to see, how did we do? What is our actual cost of making these things once we factor all our things in, right? So it was November 2022. And I remember like the leaves were changing. It was kind of like today. Leaves are changing. The weather
setting a scene here.
Right? And I remember like walking, like pacing. I hadn't eaten in like a week, and I probably hadn't slept in like 3 nights. And I was shaking, right? But not because it was cold. I was like shaking because I got to tell Carrie, like, because we had finally gotten our numbers together, and I realized Bunkie Life was like bleeding money, and we were likely to go bankrupt, right?
Holy smokes.
Yeah. And I remember when I told her, I was thinking to myself, like, is she going to leave? Is she going to flip out? Right. And it's one of the scariest times of my life, right? because I started doing the numbers, like what personal guarantees have we signed? Like what, how is this going to like it? And it was like very dire. Like we were going to be on the street, including Carrie's parents who also live with us. We're going to be on the street. And I remember she turned to me and she's like, Dave, we're going to figure this out. It's just stuff at the end of the day. And we'll be okay. And like, I didn't deserve that, I don't think, but it was a very, it was a gift that she gave me that day. And we kind of gathered the team. We got together a plan. We got a lot more in depth of what our numbers were. We didn't really know our numbers that at that point in the business. Turns out a lot of the numbers we had kind of misallocated. It wasn't as dire as I had thought at the time, but we got the plan together. We dug ourselves out of that. And looking back on that, I learned that like at the end of the day, it's more about the people you're with than the money, if that makes sense, right? Like it's the people you're with, right? We have just a real family now going through some of that stuff together, and you can't really lose everything. Even if you like financially lose everything, it doesn't really matter. What really is important is my wife, my kids, those type of things. And I realized what you can accomplish when everyone's pulling the rope in the same direction. Because at that point we were all kind of doing our own thing and siloed, but it was like, we have to solve this, right? And so it's like 10, it's not even 10 times, it's like 100 times more impactful when everyone knows what's going on and everyone's working in that same exact focused direction. It's remarkable.
So that was a conversation that you had with your team, like, hey guys, here's the situation, here's what we got to do.
We didn't like freak out the average person on the ground floor right away.
Yeah.
Like I told them some version of that story at our barbecue last month, but it wasn't like, but our leadership team, like, it's like, yeah. And also just getting good, like lesson from that was also get good financials. Like we didn't have an accountant at that time. It was kind of carrying a bookkeeper that was like chipping in an hour to a week. And it was like, yeah, we need to get a financial person, which we have now, and she's amazing. So just knowing where we're at was super key for us, because now we can make predictions. We can like, if there's a bad week, we're like, oh, that was horrible. But I can look back and go, oh, historically, it's always been a bad week. It's just August, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you get them together? Like, how did you start figuring this stuff out? And like, what did you start doing that you weren't doing before?
So got really granular about the cost of goods. So I know what every single bunkie cost to make to the screw.
Oh, wow.
Right. For each model, get granular with that. And then I can also store. So that's like our, on paper, but then you go back and you go, well, did that actually come true last month? Right. So it's like forecast. My uncle, my uncle's like a, I don't know, super financial guy. And he like dropped what he was doing and came and helped us out for a couple afternoons. He's like, what you want to do is you want to go, okay, projection, your little, like your hypothetical spreadsheet, do that. And then also look back. Did that actually come true? And then you're looking forward and looking back, so that you can, it's like you can have your budget on paper.
Yes.
But then you got to also look back at your credit card bill last month and go, did we actually do that or not?
Yeah.
And then compare those two numbers.
Very interesting. Okay. I'm doing this on a micro scale.
Okay.
I just got this app. It's called You Need a Budget.
Oh yeah. I've heard of that one. Yep.
I've had a budget for years.
Okay.
This thing is different. It's called zero-based accounting method.
Okay.
Which is every dollar needs a job. Also known as the envelope method.
Yes. Yeah, so I did the envelope method before Bunkie Life, when we were musicians. We got paid in cash mostly. So it was literal envelopes. We had envelopes going around. It was like the long-term savings one. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you found it effective.
So YNAB is So
YNAB, yeah. So the app is literally called YNAB. You Need a Budget, and it's a digital version of it.
Right.
So it's a link to all my accounts.
Yep.
So money comes in, every dollar is assigned a job. I now have, projected for the next year, what do I need for the next year, down to like, I'm going to my friend's wedding. I need a busta for the wedding.
What's a busta?
A busta is, you're in the wedding business. I'm shocked that you, it's Italian cash gift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. We call it a booster.
Yeah.
So I need a booster.
I need a booster.
Yeah, I need the booster, and then I need the hotel for the night. I need I've gotten so granular with this, and this is just the past month that I got set up on this app. I feel so much better, man, about my future.
Yeah. Don't you think knowing, even if it sucks, you're like, at least I know.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And to your point, I'm like, holy crap, I'm spending way more here than I thought.
Yeah.
But I'm spending way less here than I thought.
Yep.
I can take some money from here, allocate it here, but then if I allocate to this, then you're going to have to sacrifice that. So what are you prioritizing?
Yeah.
And it's no longer just a financial plan, it's a life plan. Like, what are my priorities in life?
Yeah.
Like, what's important to me at this time in my life? Is it getting married? Is it having a kid? Is it buying more Bitcoin? Like, what's actually a priority here?
Yeah. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I think that's a truity. Like, and so many of us sleepwalk through that. Right. And just like, just money's going out, money's coming in, whatever, as long as I'm not like,
Yeah.
That's so powerful.
The difference for me, man, was, so I was using a Google sheet and I had everything listed out, and this is approximately what's going on. And I even had like the yearly expenses broken down into monthly, and this is what I need. But if I'm not actually allocating to an account, whether it's a physical envelope, a physical bank account, or just digitally separated in this app, because I still have just kind of main checking and savings accounts and whatever, right?
Yep.
So I'm not actually separating that money, but digitally I have it
separated. But YNAB is separating.
But YNAB is separating it for me. It's
awesome.
Life-changing, man. I've been like talking about it all week long with Noha, the girl in our office, she's been doing it for 7 years.
Wow.
She's like, I have my whole life planned out, priorities years ahead of time. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been sleepwalking, and I thought I was dialed in, but I'm not, because it literally will record every single dollar that leaves your account, every single dollar that comes in, and where you allocated that.
That's super good. So I'm actually thinking I should do something like this, because my thing has always just been buy as much Bitcoin as you can and then figure out the rest.
Yeah, that was what I was doing.
Which isn't terrible. But when you have a wife involved, in my case, where she's always like, where'd all the money go?
Yeah.
It's in a better place. But
it's in a better place now. It's safe.
Yeah. But no, that's really, I think that's wise. Like having just an allocation that you all agree ahead of time. Can you do YNAB as a couple?
Yes, you can do it as a couple. And I'm just about to get Christina, my partner, set up on it. She's starting to set it up. She's not into it yet. I'm going to get her there. Yep. But in the meantime, I'm going to organize it for her. Because one, I'm addicted to this. I look at this thing every single morning now. It's like my health metrics. Yeah. It's like when money comes in, I'm so happy to start allocating it, because it's like I'm life planning. I'm now in control. It has been like the number, like Tom was telling me he's been doing this method for years, the bucket method. And he has it set up where he has like 8 different checking accounts, right? With the main categories in his life, whatever they may be, mortgage, or I don't know what his expenses are. Yeah. But that's how he has it set up. YNAB is amazing because you can have 90 buckets, right? Down to the booster for your friend's wedding coming up. Like, exactly wherever dollars going and how to prioritize it. Yeah. It's, I don't know, life-changing, man. So that's great. I would personally set it up, especially the value of this stuff. I'm going to evangelize this thing. And it's only been a month of kind of getting on top. Have you heard of Profit First by Michael? Yeah. So that's what I want to dive down next, because Profit First is, I guess, paying yourself. Can you explain that? Because that's what I want to learn about. I feel like I also might get sued by misrepresenting Michael's stuff. It's brilliant. It's simple as well. It also has multiple categories. It's more on the business side. So the business itself will have, profit first. The first 10% or whatever you decide to pay yourself profit just goes boom into a side account, and that's profit, right? Second thing is taxes or whatever it is. There's a few other categories, capital investments I need to make, blah, blah, blah. So splitting it up. But the important thing is the profit goes out first. So you're not tempted to spend the profit. Yeah. It's brilliant. And we haven't figured, because we have an international company with 2 accounts, not even 2 accounts. We got multiple accounts in 2 countries. We haven't figured that one out yet, but we're going to get there. Yeah. Okay. And it's for any business owner that's watching this, check out Michael McCall's Profit First book. So you read that book and then you changed what you're doing. You started doing Profit First. I think I just started taking profit. It's okay. Yeah, we haven't got we haven't fully implemented that yet. But for us, we needed an accounting person that we got last year. There's been a few other ducks we had to get in a row to implement that. Okay. Yeah. All right. So are you essentially doing, you need YNAB on for your business? Yeah, I don't know why I have enough to definitively say that, but it sounds very similar. It's got... but every dollar is given a job, that type of thinking? That's and the Profit First methodology is like the very first bucket you fill is your
profit that you're going to disperse in whatever way you want to, but you're going to, like, so many businesses do the, spend the HST. Like, I know that sounds ridiculous, but people do that. It's like, the HST is not your money. It's the government's money that you've collected on their behalf. Or like, if you're going to decide I'm going to make 10% profit, then you take that money and every dollar you make, you throw 10% away into a profit account so that you can't spend it. Right.
Yeah.
And you're not tempted at the end of the year, like, we need a marketing thing. It's like, no, that money isn't available to us. So that's the thinking, at least.
Yeah. I think it really disciplines you because you're like, no, I can't touch that because this is a higher priority. And I've determined this ahead of time. This is the higher priority. And to your point earlier about having that criteria set before the emotions come in, it's like, no, this is the higher priority. I don't care that US is about to do a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is the priority right now. We have this. Which one do you want? And you got to choose.
Yeah.
But it forces you to choose. Whereas before, I would just do both. And it's like, crap, now I'm all stressed out. I need some money. Okay, I got to ramp up the side hustle, get some more money coming in.
Yeah.
And it puts you on the defensive all the time. Like, you're reacting to your life.
And yeah, exactly. And feeling like the sense of poverty all the time too.
Yes.
Which, like, I think isn't terrible. Like, if you're just a compulsive saver, like I am, like, this feeling of like you got to use what you have, right? That's what I had. I mean, I kind of grew up, my parents were like kind of middle-ish class. Like we would buy our hockey skates used at this shop that had also sold cheese for some reason. I'm not sure.
Where'd you grow up?
I don't know. Yeah. But, like, we played hockey, so we were, like, desperate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had a great family. So, but yeah, there was this, like, money, like, it's a tight thing. Like, that was the mentality. And so that I took with me into my 20s, and, like, kind of glad I did, because I wasn't spending money. I didn't party. I, like, just saved and saved and saved. So it made sense then. But at some point, like, I just turned 40. I'm like, maybe we should start enjoying our lives too.
Yeah.
So, but I think, to your point, like, if you have a YNAB budget of, like, having fun, that
100%.
You have a bucket that says having fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You can have those spend buckets.
Cool.
Yeah. Love it. It's, like, life-changing to me. Yeah. I mean, it's, like, almost as, like, important as Bitcoin is to me. Like, it's just changed my entire mindset around stuff.
Yeah. When Carrie and I first got married, so we were it was just like, save everything. Like, that was the craziness of year one of marriage, right? So we went to this marriage counselor, and it wasn't even marriage counseling. It was more just, like, basic financial advice. She's like, okay, so we had the envelope system kind of working, sort of. But then she's like, why don't you just get an envelope that says Dave on it and an envelope that says Carrie on it, and just throw $10 in it a month. And that's, like, Dave's money that he can just go and do something stupid with, and no judgment.
Yeah.
Same thing with Carrie. And that was, like, life-changing for our marriage. I know that sounds stupid, but, like, just having $10 I could spend on something ridiculous was, like, because it just felt like, there's not enough. And,
Yeah. To your point about being a compulsive saver, but also feeling like you're in poverty because of that.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. And ever since I learned about Bitcoin and, like, had a reason to save my money, like, a real reason, I became a much bigger saver, first of all. But then second of all, I always have this feeling of, like, oh my God, my back's against the wall. Yeah. I'm living month to month, but I'm not.
Right.
But in my head I am, because I'm like, I will never sell my Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel that but it gives me drive on a monthly basis to be like, dude, you need more money coming in. You need more money coming in, because that doesn't exist. You're not touching that. Like, I know there's a dollar value to it, but, like, in my head, I also, like, there's no dollar value to that. Like, I'm living month to month. Like, I need some money coming in. Like, it's given me that drive.
Yeah. That's kind of me too. I don't know if it's a bad thing.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, as long as you're not, like, if you get too stressed, that's not a good thing. You don't want to be chronically stressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to your earlier question about, like, Bunkie Life or Bitcoin, it's like, well, part of the reason I love having a thing like a Bunkie Life is, like, it gets given me a reason to get up and do, and there is positive stress there. Yeah. And you're providing real value to the world. I think we are. Hope we are. I mean, people leave us good reviews. Yeah. 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 You have a very cool company, man. Like, it's just cool. You can see it from the outside because you see the amazing reviews. You see, like, I feel a similar thing. I'm biased. Okay. I work at Rockstar, but I felt the same way when I joined as a Rockstar member. I was young and I wanted a job, and I'm like, this company's got something interesting going on with it. I want to be a part of it. And I feel like your company has a very similar vibe to it. Yeah. I feel like we're in the office now at Rockstar Realty. I feel you walk in and there's real people here, and there's like a real business here. Yeah. And you walk into other places that don't feel like that. And I don't know why that is.
It doesn't have a soul. There's something to it.
I wonder, yeah, that's the way, but I don't know how to like articulate, like if only the local place did this, and this,
Yeah.
you know?
I think it's purpose, man. I think your purpose, I mean, it starts with Tom and Nick here and it emanates down to all of us. And they set the culture and they set the purpose. And like, we all clearly know what our purpose here at Rockstar is. It's to help people live life on their terms.
Yeah.
And by doing so, we are able to also do the same thing for ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I can clearly articulate that. And I think your employees would be able to do a similar thing. And whether or not maybe they can articulate it, but they feel it. And they feel it like they're part of bigger thing. And also that you're all in it together. And it, like you said, that family vibe and how everybody dug in and like, that comes from you and your wife, like putting that in motion, man. And like, I've never even been to your factory, but I can just tell that from the outside. And you can tell that with certain companies. And those are the fun companies that you love to be a part of.
Yeah.
You're like, I got my Bunkie Life. We set it all up and like Bunkie Life's so cool. You got to check this thing out. And people are kind of been the same way about Rockstar. And they're like that with other companies. Like CoinKite is kind of a cool one, right? In the Bitcoin community, it's got like a little cult following.
Yeah.
And I feel like those companies with that mojo have that little cult following where people are just excited to be a part of it. And there's like a shared purpose and a shared ethos. Bull Bitcoin is one of those companies.
Those guys are all in there.
Yeah. And it's like the hardcore Bitcoiners love Bull Bitcoin. Yeah. You want to be a part of Bull Bitcoin. Whatever Bull Bitcoin's doing, you have trust in them. You know that you're aligned with their mission and you want to be a part of that too. And I feel like it's that, it's that culture.
Yeah. I mean, if someone could bottle up the whys behind that. I'm reading a lot of books and trying to like, I think you also don't want to formalize it too much. Like it has to be kind of organic and like it lives and breathes in the people, but yeah, I think I reflect on that. Like, am I doing my part to make, cause I walk into my factory or our factory, I should say, it's not my factory. And like just the vibe is high. And like, I'm just like, I don't know if I give all the credit to Justin, my brother-in-law who runs it. And it's just cool to see,
Yeah.
Like, wow, I get to be part of this. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I've seen you kind of integrating into the Bitcoin community. I mean, obviously like socially and educationally, but I saw you on some app and it was like businesses that accept Bitcoin in Canada.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the app or website I was on, but I'm like, oh, cool. It was in Aaron.
Yeah.
Bunkie Life. I'm like, oh, that's David. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then I saw you on Bitcoiner Jobs. You had a job posting there. Yeah. So like, what's that been like for you, integrating Bitcoin into your business?
I mean, right now, we just accept if someone wants to buy one with Bitcoin. We've sold, I think, 3 or 4 bunkies for Bitcoin. We haven't, like, I've obviously thought about going like full evangelist, but I do think it's, Bunkie Life has its own clientele and has its own, like, I can't blend them too closely together, if that makes sense. But we accept Bitcoin. I think I'd love you to pay in Bitcoin. People that paid in Bitcoin last year, thank you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or even the year before, like, fantastic move for us. So
not for them.
Well, I mean, I guess who knows?
Well, if they wanted, yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, but who
knows their reason?
They wanted the Bunkie more than the Bitcoin at that point in their life, and so it was a good trade.
It was a good trade.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think that over time, the companies that adopt Bitcoin and the ethos around it, which is like, you need to produce more than you spend.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're going to lose your Bitcoin every month. I think they're going to do well. I think the companies that are like trying the whole like numbers game and like, I think they're going to do less well.
Yeah. It's like we're back to reality.
I think that might be the next 10 to 20 years. Is just
reality?
A dose of reality.
Oh my God.
It might be suppository reality actually, but we'll see.
Wow. Yeah. What a phenomenon.
Yeah.
But that's what Bitcoin does, man. You can see reality again.
Yeah. You have a way to price reality.
Yes. 100%. You have a way to measure, you have a way to make proper economic decisions again, proper business and economic and financial decisions again, because you're like, does this get me more Bitcoin or less Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Once you begin measuring your value in Bitcoin, because you reach a certain level where you're like, why would I measure my thing in the infinite thing that they print out of thin air with the keystroke? That, am I actually making money? Am I actually getting ahead? Or are they just creating more units that I'm counting my wealth in?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
I know, that's such a hard thing to get your head around. I mean, it's just impossible to get your head around it fully. Like you think you've got that figured out, and then you realize there's like an aspect of your life you've been mispricing reality, right? And I mean, the obvious one is like, obviously you want to get rid of Canadian dollars and you want to, get Bitcoin. That's like an obvious one after a while, right?
Yeah.
There's other dimensions to it too. Like why are certain categories of businesses worth more than others? When you think about it, like I'm trying to think of a good example, but like a business that actually makes something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trades at a way less multiple than a software company that like doesn't make anything
and isn't profitable.
And oftentimes isn't profitable.
Yeah.
Really weird.
Yeah. Like an Uber or like a Tesla. Like, I don't know if Tesla's ever made a profit. I don't follow stocks. So excuse me if I'm making an error saying that.
And to be fair, Tesla does make physical things.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. I don't know that they make a profit.
Probably not. I don't know.
But then people price in like the future growth of the company and the battery technology and the data and the AI and the self-driving capabilities. So that's just a world I don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
But I know what you mean. Like a real company publicly traded that makes money won't trade as much of a premium as some of these tech companies. But then I guess you could argue, well, it's a growth thing.
Yeah. But that whole pricing mechanism has been very distorted and it's very opaque. It's not like, I mean, you could, you can
make a point that most of the purchases of those equities in general anyways is because people are just trying to save their money.
Yeah. Like you think about how much you just park money in stocks. There's like Nvidia. Like,
you'll buy at any price.
Right? You're just like, whatever. Like, because
where else do
the
I put it?
alternative is you're going to lose money 2 to 20% with your Canadian dollar.
Yeah.
That's just the reality.
Yeah. And real estate's the same way. It's become decoupled from earnings. You buy at any price because you need something to protect it. Hard asset, some control. Okay.
Who cares if it's actually cash flow, like positive even?
You buy at any price.
Yeah.
But that's because you're pricing in dollars.
Right. Yeah. You start thinking, what if I had just bought Bitcoin 4 years ago or even 2 years ago or whatever? Yeah. And it's sad. Like, yeah.
Or what if I
think I need a disclaimer. Real estate is a great investment. You should probably buy real estate.
Yeah. And there's use cases for both.
Yeah.
And like, I would consider myself a Bitcoin maxi now, and I still own real estate. And
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I got to put my family up somewhere.
Yeah. There's utility, there's income.
Yeah. We need a place to make bunkies.
Yeah. And if you haven't done the homework on Bitcoin yet, I wouldn't recommend you buy it. It's like your allocation should be, me and Tom were talking about this, and I liked how he put it. He was like, your allocation should be related to the amount of hours you've put in.
Yeah.
You put in 1,000 hours. Okay. You can be 100% Bitcoin.
So the date is November 2024, right?
Yeah.
Right. Have you got any calls from like your friends like, Anthony?
Yes.
Should I buy? Yeah. I just got my first one last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't think we're in the full mania yet.
Okay.
I use my sister-in-law as a litmus test. Like when she's texting me, I know it's like
retail's coming.
No, my buddy. I told my buddy, oh, sorry, I lost it all in a boating accident, and he thought I was serious. So, yeah,
you were.
Yeah.
That's tragedy, man.
It's really tragic. But like, where's it going with that? You're talking about, the proportionality to your conviction and your learning should be. Yeah,
to hours you've put in.
Yeah.
Educating yourself and also thinking about it. I feel like that Bitcoin is something you have to really think through. Like, I guess it almost sounds cliche now, but first principle thinking. Like, and I didn't know what that meant for like the first 2 years hearing about it. But then I think I Googled it. I'm like, what's first principles thinking? And it's like thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. So like critically thinking, like, critically thinking and just really thinking it through for yourself and weighing arguments in your head, being like, does this make sense? And for me, like this year was a big one where I was like, I can no longer price my life in Canadian dollars. I need to make economic, business, financial life decisions based on Bitcoin and sats instead of dollars, because I just can no longer trust this thing. Like if I'm actually getting ahead or not getting ahead, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I can look at the M2 and then subtract like M2, but it's like, well, if we're all moving into this world anyways, I'm going to just start pricing myself in this world because I think this is giving me clear economic signal. And it's easy. You just look at the inflation rate charts of any fiat currency and it's up and to the right for you, up and exponentially up to the point like where it's almost straight up now in terms of units in the system. Yeah. Whereas Bitcoin was trying to do this reverse. I'll do it at my angle. Yeah, we're almost at the flat part of the curve where most of the Bitcoin's been mined, and the inflation rate is going to be negligible soon, like 1% of the Bitcoin supply left within 8 years or 2 cycles, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But you can essentially now measure wealth in the flat thing because no more units are being added.
Yeah.
Like it's just a mindset shift.
It really is. And I think the next 3 years are going to be wild, crazy, build, insane.
Yeah.
Just the mathematical short squeeze coming up. Yeah.
Why do you say that? The short squeeze. What do you mean by that?
So if when an exponential runs into something that's not exponential, something happens. Like there's just going to be mathematically, a point. I don't know if it's in the next 3 years. I spoke a little bit soon, but for sure the next 20 years.
Yeah.
You just have this point where, you reprice everything essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And humans are very adaptable. I don't think it's going to be this Armageddon that people, the real crazy people think, but it will be just you have to like all the things that we've had to rethink. You mentioned a few things, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of bigger context that you have to rethink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an uncomfortable process, but also eye-opening.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like you're ripping yourself out of the matrix. And you're like,
feels like that. Yeah.
What the hell? Why was I thinking that way? Like, how did I was programmed to think that way. I got to reprogram some things here.
Yeah, it's definitely first principles thinking. You have to start again from first principles.
Yeah, like from scratch. Like which is uncomfortable because it's like you're like realizing that you're in like water as a fish. You're like, wait, what? What is water?
Yeah, totally.
It's trippy, man.
It is. I'm so grateful to all the people that are ahead of us that thought it through. Imagine just the foresight of guys like Satoshi himself, but all the early adopters. Have you ever read any of the Nakamoto Institute articles?
Like here and there, I've been on their website reading a couple. Yeah,
they're crazy. Crazy prescient.
And this is like 2011, 2013.
Like Bitcoin's going to become the world reserve currency. It was written in like 2012.
Yeah,
it's like I got to meet Bitstein and Pierre Richard at this conference back in the day.
Oh, cool.
They're just legit dudes.
Yeah,
they're super nerds and great guys. And like the speculative attack. Have you seen that one?
Yes, for sure. Pierre Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, Sailor's
that
doing
is
it.
what he's doing.
Yeah. I'm doing it.
Yep.
Like, yeah. Anyone that's bought Bitcoin on a line of credit is doing it.
Yeah. I mean, if you just have Bitcoin and a mortgage, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you choose to buy Bitcoin instead of pay down debt, you're doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's pretty much all of us here in Canada.
Yeah.
That own Bitcoin. So.
Because we're in so much debt here. Yeah. It's true. Can I ask you about Florida?
Sure.
So you're just living in Florida for now. Do you think you're going to do the factory there?
No, I don't think Florida's the place to manufacture, just because it's geographically out of the way.
Okay.
I think it'll be somewhere in the Midwest.
Central. Yeah. Makes sense if you're trying to reach all the markets.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And Florida's just a lifestyle decision for you?
Yeah, we just love Florida. We've got a great crew of people down there now. We have one of our employees is there now.
Okay.
Kind of our intern Aiden.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we just love Florida. We used to travel there and kind of rent a house for a month or two, and then it became 2 months, and then we're like, let's just buy a house. It was the middle of COVID too, so.
Yeah. It's cool that you've set up your life, even with such a physical business. You literally own a massive factory with a bunch of employees making physical products, and you're able to still kind of do that remote type work. Like that's really with 4+1 kids and a wife. Like that's so cool, man.
Yeah, we're really lucky that way. We've got just a great, our team is just so awesome right now. We just have all our cylinders are firing. We've got just a great crew. So I don't have to worry about the factory at all. It just runs itself, kind of produces what we need to produce. On what we call the brand side, like all of our sales and service and stuff, we just got, most of us are remote-ish, but we'll come together, once a quarter kind of thing.
Cool.
Yeah, just got a great crew.
And then can I ask you about education too for your kids? Are you still homeschooling them?
We are, yeah. So our oldest is in an online homeschool program.
Okay.
It's out of Pennsylvania called Bridgeway. And then so she's 11, then our next is 8. She's taking school with us. And then our 4-year-old is just kind of like learning her letters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then our 2-year-old is just kind of running around.
And do you share that responsibility with your wife?
No. She bears it all pretty much. I'll chip in, but yeah, it's mostly.
And is it just your wife, or are you doing more community stuff?
We got a good curriculum, and we're so busy with the business that we haven't integrated into the greater community as much as we could or should. But a lot of our friends are homeschooled. We can kind of pick them for information and stuff. But the like weekly meetings and stuff, we haven't found a crew that we can really like do every week. Yeah. When I was a kid, I was homeschooled a little bit too. And we had like Friday swimming and skating at this one place and some other things that we did, which was great.
Yeah.
For like just a break, but we haven't figured that one out yet. Yeah.
So I guess with your experience, you've been able to figure it out. I mean, to me, like it seems like an obvious thing, but also a thing that's hard to pull off.
Yeah. Well, they're there all the time. Like,
exactly.
They're always here.
Yeah.
So, and we do stuff outside of home. Like we got dance we do and other things. So
what do you think the traditional education system is lacking that you've chosen to focus on?
So just for us, I mean, we can't travel and be in school. People wouldn't love, we're taking the kids out of school for the next 4 months. Like they would not love that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, just as a lifestyle thing. But then, I mean, I've heard bad things, but I don't want to slag an education system I'm not part of. So, I've heard there's a lot of, you lose some autonomy of what morality you want to teach your kids, is what I've heard.
Yeah. So you've chosen to do it.
I want to indoctrinate them to my own way of thinking.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do. I mean, you are giving them over to the state, right? To operate on the state-based education. My big bone to pick with it is like just all of the useless stuff that you learn. And it's like you get into the real world. You're telling me that
you've never used the fact that the mitochondria is the power of the cell?
Man, and it's just like you got to really do a lot of self-education to catch up, to get the basic life skills.
Yeah. You're like, what is it? How do I pay off my credit card? Mitochondria has the power of the cell.
Yeah, like imagine we learned profit first accounting in grade 9. And you learned you need a budget, zero-based accounting in grade 10. And it's like you learned how taxes work and what your marginal tax rate is. And you learn how to start a business and what expenses you can write off and maybe some advantages of doing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just going on all the financial ones. That's the big one, but...
What if you learn how to like, I don't know.
What if you learn the money's fake?
Whoa.
I mean, there's an extent to what like you could be taught, but like they don't have to teach you that fiat currency sucks. They could still teach you like some basic life skills. Cooking. Yeah. Why can't you learn the basics of cooking?
Wasn't there home ec?
There's home ec, but it's optional. It's an elective.
Yeah. I learned I guess I'm old, but
I mean, there's some great stuff. There's great stuff. And in the whole grand scheme of things, Canada has an amazing education system relative to most parts of the world.
How bad is the rest of the world though? Come on.
Yeah. So I don't want to come across as like just crapping on like a beautiful system that we've created here. But at the same time, it's like there's some obvious things missing that everybody knows is missing that nobody seems to be doing anything about. And that's my big bone to pick with it. And I can see why some people would choose their own self-education for their kids, especially things like world travel, if that's an option, because what better, what's going to teach you more than those types of experiences?
Yeah. I mean, so to your point, I think a lot of this is downstream from the incentive system that's bad, right? So there's just not a lot of self-correcting mechanisms in the education because it's so government funded, right? I mean, the kids are going to, like, I was a teacher for a very brief amount of time before I became a musician. So like, just, there's not a lot of incentive to try to kick against the system. You're just kind of going to get your job and go
get through it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to like point your finger at any one person. There's that spread of responsibility across the bureaucracy that's just kind of bad.
Yeah.
The incentives are not good though. Like it's, basically it's kind of like, they want to just keep kids in school until they're 18. That's the move. Basically, that's why they don't even fail you anymore.
Yeah.
I'm hearing some crazy things like you don't even have to pass. Like right now, 85 is the average. So like if you only have 81s, like you won't get into university. But like when I was a kid, like 81 was a pretty good grade. So they just curved everybody. I don't know, just curving everyone up so that
you can get in to feed you into the system.
I guess I'm not sure. I've heard some crazy stuff. Like kids that don't even show up get passed and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's incentives and I guess feedback. Like in the real world, if you make bad decisions with your life, with your money, like you get negative feedback.
Yeah.
That's like pain.
Yeah.
And so you adjust.
Yeah.
Over time, hopefully. Whereas in school, you don't have those same negative feedback things. Like you can learn absolute BS and just memorize it and then pass it and that's it.
Yeah. And that was probably more of a useful skill maybe 50 years ago too, right? Is memorizing stuff. I don't know. Oh my God.
Now, yeah. Now ChatGPT alone, like has blown up.
Yeah.
Like some of the basic skills that you actually need to learn. It's like, why would you ever need to learn that? You can ask Google and get the answer. Google's way smarter than you're ever going to be.
Yeah. So it's just tricky to update a system that has no feedback, like you said.
Yeah.
If you have no pain, you're not going to get stronger, or you're not going to adapt your behavior to adapt around that pain. So there's just no, like, really what fiat money has done more than anything else is suspend reality, suspend pain temporarily. That's what it's done. And it manifests itself in education systems that really can't evolve and change with the times. Manifests itself in banking. I mean, how ancient is banking?
Oh,
right?
Dude. Banking?
Like, we think it's bad in Canada, but like America is 10 times worse.
Really?
Oh yeah. Just trying to move money in America is insane.
Yeah. I went to National Bank because I got this one credit card just for the travel insurance perks on it. And I wanted to just set up auto pay. And I couldn't do it on the bank account. So I had to fill out a form, fill out a form. And then they wanted me to fax the form.
Fax?
But then it said, or bring to a branch. So I'm like, I don't even know how to fax. I've never faxed something.
I've never faxed.
I'm going to go to a branch. I go to the branch and then they're like, we don't know what to do with this. I'm like, it says right here, I got to bring this form to a branch. And so they got a call. And then, so I'm calling the credit card thing in the branch. They're calling and they're like, we don't know what to do. And then they're like, okay, fax it. So she goes to fax. She's like, it won't accept the fax. The number's not working.
They won't accept their own fax. I'm
sitting there like fuming. Like, I cannot wait for Bitcoin to blow up this entire infrastructure. Like, this does not make sense. Like, I don't even know what happened with it. I left the form with her. I'm like, please figure out a way to like submit this. She gave me her business card. I had to call her later on in the day. Hey, were you able to submit it? Yeah, I submitted it. You should be good. All right, for sure.
Should be good.
You should be. Okay. Well, now I'm going to like miss a credit card payment because I'm like expecting this auto pay to go through. Like, It just seemed very antiquated.
Yeah. You ever try to send money internationally? Like, it's a nightmare.
No, but it would further orange pill me.
Yeah.
I've heard it's just like terrible, right? To do an international wire transfer.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing the best they can with what they've got.
Yeah. It's easy to like crap on everything, but like not also respect the fact that you can send money internationally.
No, like
we are very privileged.
Yeah. It's like the people are always complaining about like, you know, like I got in this metal tube and I flew through the air and then I landed in another place in the world and like it was 5 minutes late.
Yeah. And my legs were cramped.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you just flew across the world.
Yeah. There's a baby kind of like 2 seats down that was a little bit loud.
Yeah. Yeah. Or their hedonic adjustment is just like,
yeah, it's true.
Unbearable.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the world is pretty amazing and it's going in the right direction, generally speaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think there is a bit of a dose of reality that we're about to get on the financial side. And I think it's going to be for everyone's best interest. You know, like it's not really good to sit around and collect welfare checks. It's not really good to pretend you're doing work in a zombie company and you're not. Like, it's not good for you or your soul. It's not good for like, you don't get up in the morning and be like, yes, I'm going to go work for like, you know, this douchey, I don't know, trying to pick an industry that's not going to sue me, but you know what I mean? Like I'm going to work in a business I know doesn't make any difference in anyone's lives. It doesn't do anything productive. It's just moving numbers around in a spreadsheet. That's not going to be a thing.
Yeah.
For that much longer.
I agree.
It's going to be better for that person.
For everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're headed there, man.
Yeah. Even the teacher's lounge. I could speak to the teacher's lounge a little bit. When I was supply teaching, I supply taught for about 3 semesters. And I was like super like, oh, we're going to go and make a difference in these kids' lives. I had some really cool teachers when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And
same.
Then I went to the teacher's lounge. I was just like complaining about kids and complaining about the government 4 governments ago and blah, blah. It was just a kind of a bit of a wine fest. Every single teacher's lounge I went to, and I visited a lot of different schools. Right. And I was like, I don't want to be that guy, you know? I just don't want to be, I want to, whatever I'm doing, I want to be like, yeah, I'm all in on this thing. You know?
Yeah, I'm passionate about it. Hey, so when you came, when we had Jeff Booth come out, we had that Rockstar VIP.
Thanks for inviting me for that. That was great.
Yeah, no problem. I knew you would like really appreciate it.
I really did.
Yeah. You were asking Jeff a bunch of questions, and I thought your exchange was super interesting because Jeff was talking about how we can all, you know, make individual decisions to move to a Bitcoin world. And you were asking him, well, how? Like I have a real business that makes real products, sells to real people. And he was talking about, you know, start a Bitcoin podcast and that type of stuff. And you're like, Jeff, like, I don't want to start a Bitcoin podcast. There's enough Bitcoin podcasts.
We can't have all of us just...
Yeah, we can't all start a Bitcoin podcast. Like, tell me what to do here. Like, I'm taking my money, I'm buying Bitcoin. Isn't that the best, most moral, ethical thing I can do if I believe in Bitcoin? Mm-hmm. And he was saying yes, and you could also accept it, and you're already accepting it. So what did you take away from that exchange?
Yeah, I thought a lot about what we talked about. And also, another thing is I met one of the people in the thing and we became really good friends, and I'm now part of this business group of dudes. So I'm actually going to that later on today. So,
oh, awesome.
Yeah. So thanks for that too. It was great crew of people. So our exchange was kind of like the premise of it was, what is the most moral thing we can do with our lives? Right? Like, and I don't mean that in a philosophical sense. I mean, what can I actually do that is going to help the most people? Right. And so I've always thought, okay, well, you could donate your time to the starving people of India. You could be the Mother Teresa. There's like that example. There's the religious example. You could further the kingdom of God by serving whatever. There's that example. Or you can start a Bitcoin podcast. Right? None of those really appealed. None of those felt like it spoke to me personally. I'm more of a guy that's going to do some things, right? I like marketing. I like talking to people. So I've come to the conclusion, partly on the basis of that talk, but other things too. I do think the most moral thing you can do for humanity is realign those incentives and reality together, right? And I think the best way to do that is to just spend as little as you can, make as much as you can, and buy Bitcoin. If you're a guy like me that doesn't want to start a Bitcoin podcast and doesn't want to be a public figure per se, right? I mean, I guess I'm on this podcast, but I'm not a public figure. I'm just a business guy. And I think every dollar you take from the old reality and bring into the new reality, every ounce of value, is a better way of putting it, and move it into the new reality is a step in the right direction, right? And there's a snowball effect to it as well. So in a lot of things you can do, like, so the people that get really raging against the bureaucracy and get enraged about, it's got to be orange team, it's got to be red team, or it's got to be blue team, or it's got to be this politic or that. Like, I look at that as moving deck chairs around on the Titanic a little bit, right? And what you should be doing is just like, how do we get people off the Titanic into the lifeboats, and how do we grow the lifeboats? So I do think the most moral thing you can do is, if you're a guy like me that doesn't have a lot of brains, it's just buy Bitcoin and just not sell it. And I think that's actually making it a deeper, because it's also helping you financially for sure on the individual level, but it's helping your community as well, and it's helping the world as well. And there's not a lot of things in life that you can help everybody, and they're in the center of all those circles. There's things you can do to help yourself. You can go rob a bank, but it hurts everybody else. There's things you can do that might help you and maybe your local community, but kind of screw people in other countries. There's a lot of those things in Canada, actually, in America. But there's not a lot of things you can do that just like help everybody, including yourself. So I think you starve the beast and you feed the positive new world we're going to create by doing that. Yeah.
Because one thing that comes to mind is you could just be a good person, because that's good for everyone.
Well,
and yourself.
So it is, but to what degree? Right? If you're just an individual good person and you have your little circle, okay, that helps you and maybe your community. Right?
Yeah, but I think it emanates out because you affect the other people around you.
Fair. Yeah.
There's no bad that can be done for that.
I'm not saying don't be a good person.
It's just so, to your point, it's so rare where like you can do all of these things at once.
And sometimes being a good person hurts you. Right? There's a lot of decisions you make. Like the right thing to do here is actually at my detriment.
Yeah. But then it's the right thing to do.
Okay. But my point is that, right, that
your point was that buy Bitcoin, that's the right thing to do.
For yourself.
And yourself.
And your community. And the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Very rare.
I'm still advocating for being a good person.
I know you are. I know you're a good person. Yeah.
And I mean, there's you think about Jesus as the ultimate example of doing the wrong thing for himself, but the good for the others, right? Whether or not you accept Jesus as your personal savior and him as Christ, you just gotta admire the guy's self-sacrifice, right? And the ability to take on, other people's debts, essentially, right? Like that's the most powerful example you can, like the most powerful example of that type of thinking, right? And it's cool that with Bitcoin, you don't have to also sacrifice yourself, but you can also help other people. Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's so interesting how it's married all these incentives together.
Yeah.
Bunkie Life. Is there anything else that we want to mention? I mean,
we talked a little bit about the factory in the US. Yeah. We're actively, thinking along those lines. This is relatively new. I think it's going to be, we've had a lot of success with short form video content.
Okay.
So like we're getting like 1 million views a day right now.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Really doing a lot of work there. So you can check out some of that stuff. Some of it's goofy, some of it's educational, some of it's just.
And do you find a real world business impact from those eyeballs that you're getting?
Yeah. So we've had a few weeks where we're selling more into the US than into Canada with no advertisement other than our socials. So I only see that growing. When things go viral, they just go viral everywhere.
Yeah.
But because we're the little guy on the big, we're the little brother and there's the huge brother beneath us, like it just goes viral in the US.
So you can directly connect those views to business sales.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not as directly as
as like a paid for ad funnel.
No, but
do you do paid for stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a mix of both.
Yeah. But lately we're like pulling back our paid ads because we've had a couple of weeks where like we just cannot get back to people fast enough.
Oh, wow.
Like it was like a 48-hour return their call thing, which is not good for us. So, we noticed our first kind of viral hit was June, and the traffic has just been steadily just like plateauing at a way higher level. So,
do you see things headed in that direction? Organic marketing is going to be much more important.
Yeah, we're tripling down on it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
I don't know if that's true for every business, but for us, we have a visual kind of business. It's like appealing aesthetically, so it works.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, physical products. Tom shared a Russell Brunson podcast from a few months ago where he was talking about how they're just not having the same impact with their paid ads. And he's like, we made a big mistake by only focusing on the paid stuff primarily. And he's like, we're now doubling down on our organic content.
There'll probably be a lot of diminishing returns on that side of things too. I think these things go in cycles.
Come and go.
Yeah. Because like it can't be all hooky TikTok stuff. Eventually you're just gonna be like,
Yeah.
And the reality is like for us, it was just a new channel. We weren't really ever doing it that seriously. So we get this huge boost out of it. But eventually it'll just be like, that's one of the things we do, And
then you move on to the next thing.
Well, we'll continue to do it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think we're going to get these huge gains from it probably next year. We'll just continue to grow it. And then paid ads has been a big part of what we've done. And also, honestly, we just have a great religious crew of people that support us. Like our clients are awesome. And so we sell one in an area, it's going to spread.
Yeah. Just from the word of mouth.
Yeah.
It's cool, man.
Yeah.
Really cool what you've done. Congrats on everything.
Yeah.
Florida, the family, the business, the Bitcoin, everything.
I hope this wasn't too rambling of a conversation. We didn't have an agenda, but it felt like it was a fun.
No, I just wanted to chat with you again, man. You're a super interesting guy, like in the real world, providing a lot of value, and just the exact type of person that we love to talk to, man. Just
the takeaway for me was the wine app. I got to get that going. I've heard about it. You're like the third person to recommend that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I should get a commission because I'm going to start like selling this thing hard.
Yeah.
It's been a month.
Okay.
So talk to me 6 months.
Can I ask you one or two technical questions?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
So if let's say you have like 2 or 3 bank accounts, can you kind of seam them?
All of them. I've got so many accounts. I've even gone to the point of adding gift cards that I have because I want to know where all my dollars are.
Oh, smart.
All my dollars. So if I do this thing where I buy gas gift cards at grocery stores and I use my American Express Cobalt credit card to do so because I get 5 times Amex points at grocery stores. So if I buy my gas gift cards and Amazon gift cards, which I use frequently, at grocery stores, I get 5 times the points, which I then use to book flights with.
Yeah.
So little credit card hack.
Yeah.
So I have like, $600, $700 of gas gift cards in my truck, and gas is one of my expenses on my YNAB budget. So I want to make sure I've properly allocated that $700 to the gas budget. And that way I know that I have $700 extra here that I can allocate to whatever it is that I'm need to allocate for.
That's brilliant.
So it's everything. You can add linked accounts. So it links automatically with your bank accounts. So it pulls all your transactions. There's typically a delay 2 to 3 days from spending to it actually showing up from your credit card or whatever, but any credit card you want. So I've got many credit cards there. I've got many bank accounts there, saving accounts, checking accounts. You can put lines of credit on there.
Wow.
So as you make a payment from checking to pay down line of credit, it's done automatically if it's linked. Now, if it's unlinked, then you have to do some manual work. I use an app called Splitwise to share expenses with Christina, my partner.
Yeah.
So what I do is she spends $50. Usually she owes me money at the end of the month because I put most expenses on my credit card.
Yeah.
I'm the credit card hacking guy.
Yeah.
So she typically is sending me one lump sum about once a month or every few weeks. So the one thing I have to manually track is when she pays for something, let's say groceries, puts it up into Splitwise 50-50, because I'm getting that lump sum, I've already split those transactions in my YNAB. So let's say I buy groceries, $50. I put $25 to the Christina shared expenses category. I put $25 to groceries. So that's fine. I have mine all settled. And then her money comes in and then pays off the Christina shared expenses category for all the stuff I put in there. If she pays for something, that's not going to reflect in my budget. Because it wasn't linked to any of my cards. Yep. So then I just have to manually add those few little things, groceries, Shoppers Drug Mart, whatever, into my budget to make sure I'm correctly. So that is the one manual part. Everything else is automatic. You're just categorizing the transactions as they come in. So if I get paid from Rockstar, okay, Rockstar income, it starts doing it automatically. So I don't think I'm at that point with all my expenses, but now it knows, okay, I shop at Farm Boy the most for my groceries. So Farm Boy expense goes right to the groceries category. So it starts becoming even more automated over time.
That's sick. That is so cool.
It's sick. And it's to the point where I'm like, okay, I had $5,000 for a vacation fund for 2025. And I'm like, well, what trips am I actually planning on going on? Well, I want to go camping these weekends. And then I broke it down trip by trip by trip. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to Costa Rica here. Then I'm going camping this weekend, camping, my buddy's bachelor party here. So now I've planned all that stuff out. Trip by trip, estimated what are the costs going to be. Like, I'm just way more proactive now about my life. Mm-hmm. But it's all linked, so it's easy. So then I have it pop up. I go on Google Chrome every morning and I'm doing personal stuff, email, whatever. And I have it come up as a tab. So on startup, the tab comes up, YNAB. I have Splitwise come up too. I can throw any Splitwise into there, but then I can do my budget reconciling.
Brilliant.
So whether money's come in or transactions have gone out, it's all categorized. Okay. And I'm like obsessively looking at this thing. Like, and I've searched on Reddit, like, I searched like, is anybody else addicted to like YNAB? And you see all these posts and it's like, I wish I knew. It was kind of like when somebody learns about Bitcoin or real estate investing or all these different things.
Like, wish I never started.
Yeah. Like I wish I knew about this 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And it's all these success stories. So I'm really selling this app, but I can't see a better way of doing it than having this app because it's linked to everything. Yeah. I think they have some competitors, but this one's been around the block. And it's the only one I'm going to stick with. The subscription's like $13 a month or something.
Yeah.
Negligible for the money that you'll save and the sense of control you get.
Yeah.
But like, I'm obsessed with this thing, man.
Okay. That's my first download when I get home.
Yeah. YNAB. Yeah. I don't know if I was thinking, I'm like, they got to have a business version of this. Or you can just use it for your business. So what you can also do is set up multiple budgets. So I saw with the plan I have, which I think is just the basic plan or the only plan, there's like 5 budgets. So I started setting up budgets for each one of my rental properties.
Right.
Link it to my rental property accounts because those links, I don't have those linked in my personal budget right now because that's unrelated to...
Yeah.
That's its own little business entity.
Yep.
So I have my student rental account, my other student rental, and then I got my personal budget. I'm going to get Christina's there. And then figure it all out from there. But I've got mine pretty much dialed in.
That's fantastic. And it took you about a month?
It took about a month. And now when I've told people in the office, and I had the same feeling when Noha told me about it, I was like, I have this Google Sheet. It's really well done. Like, I'm a spreadsheet guy. I don't want to do all the work of navigating this over. What's the big difference? But I said, you know what? There's a 30-day trial. I'm not paying for this thing. Let me give it my all for 30 days, move everything over. And if I like it, I'll stick with it. If I don't, I'll go back to my sheet, save the $13 a month.
Yeah.
And quickly doing it, just the Google Sheet is reactive. And I used to use Mint, which is another personal budgeting app, which is linked to your accounts. So better than the Google Sheet in that sense, because you see what you actually spent your money on.
Yeah.
But it's backwards looking.
Right.
You look back every month and you're like, blew the budget again. Blew the budget again. Spent more in that category than I wanted to. Why am I spending that much? It's just retroactive. With YNAB, I'm looking at it on a daily basis. So I know if like... So this past month, November is Christina's birthday. It's our anniversary. So we went out for dinner more than we normally would. We, did more entertainment than we normally would. So I took from other categories to then move to those categories and was like, I'm buying less Bitcoin this month as an example. I don't know what I took it from.
Shame.
Yeah. I took it from something. It actually wasn't Bitcoin. I went pretty deep in Bitcoin. I can't remember what I took it from, but you take it. So you're like, sacrifice this month or this, okay, that trip that you have planned for next November, like you're not saving anything towards that, man. Like if you don't adjust, you're not going on that trip. So it's day in, day out, I guess reactive, but adaptable.
Yeah.
So it's not,
it's forward thinking. It's proactive. It really is proactive, right?
It's proactive and also backward looking, because you can see where did your money actually go. It generates these nice little income statements, net worth statements, pretty basic on that type of stuff, but you treat your life like a business.
Yeah.
Which is how you should, I guess.
Yeah, on the financial side, because you got the numbers, use them to your advantage, right?
Yeah.
If it's giving you a sense of control, it's giving you a sense of feeling like you're getting ahead, and you're at least able to project into the future. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, I can see I'm spending this much on dining out, but I'm now sacrificing those trips I wanted to take.
Yeah.
So what do you value more? Like, you're going to value that Costa Rican meal in some cool family-owned restaurant there more than you're going to enjoy going to the Keg.
Yeah.
So like, make the sacrifice, Yeah. Whereas before, I'd go to the Keg, and then I'd try to do the Costa Rica thing. And then I'd be like, I'm out of money. I got to work more. And then I'm working more, and I'm not going to the gym because I got to work more. And now my gym goals are suffering, and my health, I'm getting fat and like out of shape. And so it's like, these things trickle down and affect your entire life. So I don't want that anymore. I want control. Like, awesome. I want to know what the hell I'm doing.
Okay. Well, that's it. That solved the whole reason of like, why am I here? This is the exact reason. I needed to hear that today. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Glad I can do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Okay, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
And pleasure, dude, as always.
Okay.
And that's it. Bunkie Life, where can people learn more about you guys?
Check out bunkielife.com. And if you're interested in ordering a bunkie for your backyard, you can head to bunkielife.com/start to get started.
Yeah, and they're beautiful. And congrats on everything.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.